In today's video, I'm going to share something with you which I think can really help your golf game, because it recently helped a client of mine hit the ball straighter and longer with all of the clubs in the bag.
Perfect.
So today's topic is something which I think can help so many golfers out there. And if I explain to you exactly the type of golfer we're aiming this at, you're likely gonna go, yeah, that is exactly me. We're talking about the golfers who feel like they've lost their golf swing. They're struggling to hit the ball as solid, as straight and as far as you knew you were maybe weeks ago, maybe months ago, maybe years ago, and you're struggling to get that golf swing back and you kind of hit a dead end, you don't know where to go. So we're looking at really what you can do to get your golf swing back. This is based on a recent lesson I had with a client of mine who I've been coaching for a number of years now, but he came in, hadn't seen him for a few months, really struggling with his game, and I saw something that he was doing which is so common, and I really think it can help you as well. So we'll just quickly go through what this golfer's typical game was. He would hit the ball an average distance and he would hit the ball pretty straight. He would have a little bit of left to right shape on them, but most of the time it was controllable and it was pretty good. And when he came to see me, he was struggling with shots which were moving a lot more from left to right through the air, missing fairways, missing greens. He felt that he'd lost distance and his strike had gone a little bit inconsistent as well. Now, when I put it on video, what we saw was very, very early in the golf swing, his right arm was bending and the arms were getting picked up very quickly this way. So as you can see from that down the line camera, the arms are going very much up and he was getting into a position around about here at the top of his golf swing. Now, as soon as he started his downswing move, that rotation moved the hands a little bit more out and he was really working the club very much across the golf ball this way, glancing strike. That was putting the curve on the golf ball. It was robbing him of distance and the strike was inconsistent. So as soon as I put that up on camera and I had a look at it, the first thing I said to him was, I said, it doesn't look as if you're moving your body like you normally do. And this is where the conversation got really interesting, because he said to me, I'm trying to keep as still as I can. I'm trying to lock my body down because I'm really struggling. I'm struggling to contact it, so I'm trying to take away as many moving parts as I can. And that was where we had this kind of revelation that what he was trying to do, his intent, was to keep the body quieter. That's exactly what he was doing, and that was what was causing his problems. Now, many golfers I see do this. As soon as they start to play badly, strike it badly, hit it offline, they start to kind of think, okay, there's lots of things that I'm trying to coordinate here. What about if I just try and lock everything down, keep my legs a little bit more solid, and that's going to help me? And unfortunately, it goes the opposite way. So if I take my setup to this golf ball, watch what happens if I just lift the club up slightly and add some body rotation. That's all I'm going to do. The golf club moves on an inward arc. Notice how my arms are very structured here as they were at the setup. This golfer, because he wasn't rotating his body, he really had two options. To get his hands or arms and the club around his body a little bit more, he could have done this with his arms and kind of pulled his arms behind him. But you can see just what's happened there. The left arm's gone very much across the chest, the right arm's in a natural position. That's one option. What he was doing, which is probably the more common option, is the arms, because they weren't going around his body, they were just going very much upwards. Now, when he got to the top of his golf swing, which is, let's say, around about here, had he have got more body turn, guess what? He'd have been in a fantastic position. He could have hit the ball really solid. So he was really trying to limit what he did in his legs, limit what he did in his upper body, because he felt that that was giving him more control. He felt he was going to strike it better and be better on the golf course. And as explained, that wasn't necessarily the case. So we gave him a very simple drill. We had him stand against a wall and let his arms hang down here. And all I really wanted him to do was take his trail hand and put it behind his back. And the little exercise I gave him was to try and get his left hand to touch the wall behind him. So as you can imagine, if he didn't rotate his body, his arms were going to go kind of up this way. If he tried to move his arm behind him, he couldn't really get there because his body was in the way. So what this really did for him was, by getting him to just feel like he touched that wall behind him, he just made a much, much freer rotation of his body. It freed up his legs, it freed up his hips, it freed up his upper body, and he was able to get his hand to kind of touch that wall. Now, as we moved him onto the mat, there was obviously no wall there, but that was still a great concept for him, still a great feeling for him. In the first couple of swings, I actually put a golf club here, or a grip, and the idea was for him to try and get his left hand to kind of touch my grip. And the key thing I think with this lesson was we gave him an external focus. I didn't tell him to rotate his body more. What I asked him to do was kind of free up his body, but really more focusing on trying to establish where he wanted his hands to be at the top of his golf swing. And because he wanted his hands to be a little bit more in this area here, and I asked him to free his body up, he made a much better turn. We saw more rotation through the knees, more rotation through the hips, more rotation therefore through the shoulders. The club got into a much better position, and what happened from there is he was able to deliver the golf club with a club path which was more neutral. That gave him straighter shots, and because he turned his body more in the backswing, he was able to turn it a lot more through the golf ball, and guess what? He hit the ball further. Now, it wasn't necessarily further than he was a few months ago, but it was back to the distance that he was used to seeing, and it was back to the ball flight that he was used to seeing. And what I call this lesson is this was like a reset, because the things I was teaching him weren't new to him. He wasn't learning anything for the first time. He just drifted a little bit away from his normal technique. You may well be the case, and it's more a case of resetting. And very often, you know, the lessons that I give from the clients I've coached for a number of years, that's the lessons. They're not learning something new every time. It's just resetting them, putting back into their swing that enables them to play their best golf. So ultimately what we had him doing was hitting golf shots where he had a very free body turn. So he wasn't restricting the lower body, he wasn't restricting the upper body, and he had a very big visual of where he wanted the hands to be at the top of his golf swing. And it was those things, those two kind of simple ideas and concepts that enabled him to pretty much get his golf swing back within 20 or 30 shots in that lesson. So if you feel like you've lost your golf swing, if you feel like you're struggling to get back to somewhere you've been, all too often I see it because golfers try and lock things down, they try and limit movement, they try and minimize the things that are moving. Unfortunately, to play great golf, lots of things have to move. The body has to turn freely, the hips have to turn freely, the arms have to get swung on an inside path. The body rotation is what will allow you to do that. So, love you to get your thoughts and comments on this video. Is that something you've struggled with before? Have you lost your game and struggled to get it back? I do hear it all too often, but hopefully the information in this video can help you get back on track and get playing like you know you can. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below. There's a comments box down there. There's a like button. Would love you to give it a thumbs up if you did like the video. And also, why not subscribe if you're not already? It is absolutely free. And I really believe these videos can help you play some better golf. Thanks for watching.